It is 2:56 p.m., September 28th. Ask these investigators this. If they're investigators, why do they deny and help me write my letter? Why did they deny the information in my letters? If they're investigators, why don't they know there's a RICO involved? Why don't they know there's terrorism involved? Why don't they know that implantation's real? I'm the implanted guy. Telepathy's real. Why don't they know these implantable devices I speak of that endanger humanity are real, such as the ones that impair memory, reason, logic, analysis, etc.? If they're investigators, why don't they know that the satellite weapons are real and the gamma radiation weapons are real and the implantation weapons are real? Why don't you know that? Why don't they know that there's a global terrorist plot involved with this? Why don't they know there's a RICO involved with this? If they're expert investigators, why don't they know they've been doing false demonstrations of reality over and over during observation? If they're expert investigators, why don't they know the original environment since late 2017 into the present, and how the environment's changed, and how the environment changes throughout the day and the different times of the week? If they're investigators, why don't they know all the key points and the key things in my methods of analysis? Why do they deny the existence of the things in my methods of analysis and my other documents? If they're expert investigators and they investigate, why don't they know I wrote the methods of analysis or typed it? Number 3 in the new editions. If they're expert investigators, why don't they know all the ideas are mine that these people steal? If they're expert investigators, why don't they know the worth of my ideas and how much money has been stolen from money pertaining to ideas, crimes, illegal bets I'm a victim of, illegal experiments I'm a victim of, slander, and more? If they're expert investigators, why haven't they seen the crimes committed so far at the bottom of my DOJ letter? And that's just what I remember, because they have been doing neurosurgeries for witness tampering. And if they're expert investigators and help me write my letters, why don't they know those are real? So who are these people pretending to be investigators who deny the existence of the things in my letters that they say they help me write? And why do they deny these things to law enforcement? Because if they're expert investigators, they would understand the type of threat that we're dealing with involving this technology. They would understand the threat of this unregulated illegal gambling. They would understand all of these people's various hand-tying tactics with illegal investments, illegal gambling, illegal bets, using women to seduce men for blackmail, and various other hand-tying tactics these people have been utilizing. And then they'd understand this is going on not just in America and not just in Houston. They'd understand it was going on in a lot of different places. They would understand there's also probably rich people and people of occupational status involved with this, and they'd understand how to figure it out. Behavioral patterns. Why don't they explore the behavioral patterns of suspects in my letter? See who's taking trips to Grenada, Dubai, Houston, Woodlands, Dallas, New York, and see who's going there. See what cryptocurrency accounts people are using. Is there a specific cryptocurrency site or community that they all interact with and use specifically? Suspects. Why don't you see what methods of communication they're using? A certain internet service provider, cell phone provider. Is there a certain bank they're all using? Are they all taking trips around the same time to certain places? Are they doing this, what they call off-grid jazz? Are they going off-grid and demonstrating behavioral patterns of being covert? Are they doing covert things people are trying to be covert would do, like this off-grid thing, whatever the fuck that is? Is there people in my suspect's letter, and who are they demonstrating these covert behaviors of off-grid and other tactics people would utilize to be covert, which I don't know because I'm not covert? They would know there's synthetic telepathy that existed and investors involved with this, and investors hiring terrorists to try to silence me because of the severe crimes they've been committing while they've been experimenting on me with this telepathy technology and stealing intellectual property. They would know about that. They would know about so much stuff that they deny if they were investigators and helped me write the letters. So look into that. And, these people who claim they investigated, ask them about these things I discuss. And if they're denying that I'm the implanted guy, denying telepathy's real, et cetera, and implantable devices, and these implantable devices in my genitals, heart, lungs, et cetera, and they're saying they're not real, that they aren't investigators. Not to mention the filters of the screen and all these other things. And if they say I'm an investigator, that's how you know they're not an investigator. Because I'm not an investigator. I am the victim of all these things. And if they were investigators, they would know the satellite coordinates. They know that they were tampering with evidence, covering up that they were using my satellite coordinate forever. And they would know the coordinates. They know they were using my parents' home address. They'd be able to answer questions about why they all pretend my parents' address is theirs, why they all pretend my cell phone numbers are theirs, when did they cover up that they were my cell phone numbers and change the cover up the evidence of my numbers, like 412-7665, 832-917-2976, and 713-458-8480. That became deactivated early 2019. They would know weird details if they were expert investigators who had been investigating since the beginning and would know all the evidence that had existed. They started covering up, such as my home address, such as my cell phone numbers, my emails, my satellite coordinate, my parents' address for these illegal experiments I'm a victim of, that these terrorists were enrolling me in illegally. They would know their tactics for making money for gambling, such as enrolling people in illegal experiments, stealing money, and then going to gamble with it, and then picking either my coordinate or someone else's coordinate. While they're making money off of selling human life into illegal experiments illegally to finance their fucking ridiculous gambling habit for morons. So they know things like that. And if they're denying the existence of these things, they aren't investigators. And they know a lot of their experiments involve implantation and this technology I'm a victim of. And there's a shit ton more. But yeah, read my letters and then see what they deny, and then be like, you helped him write this letter, but then you deny the existence of all these things in his letter. You didn't help him write shit. And if you're saying he's not the implanted guy, you clearly weren't an investigator, or you're a fucking liar with zero credibility.